The climate conference, COP26, is coming to an end in Glasgow. Has it all been worthwhile? We're talking now to one of the corporates that was invited along as an invitation from the Gabon government. We're talking now to the executive chair of Woodbois, Paul Dolan. Paul, welcome. I know you've been at the conference. You were there on invitation from the Gabon government. Explain, first of all, what connection is with Gabon and how you got to COP.
Morning, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on again. Yes, we were invited by the Gabon government because we're interested in public-private partnerships to create really carbon sinks in Gabon. Gabon's a very unusual country, and it's one of only 3 or 4 countries in the world that is a net sequesterer of carbon.
So you were invited along to be part of that delegation. What was it like? And the big question is, of course, was it all worth it? I mean, it's easy to look at perhaps maybe some of the cynicism that floats around on social media, and we hear the odd soundbite that might be taken as meaningful, subject to some of the bigger countries taking part in it, like China and India. But from a user point of view, if you like, from someone that was there, explain more about what went on and the feeling that you got from the conference.
Yeah, it was. There was a palpable sense that something needs to happen, actually, and it's my first COP. It was incredibly interesting to be there, but I think what I really felt was it seems that everyone is on the same side. Everyone recognises now that this really is a crisis, and governments hopefully are going to we've got 200 countries there. I'm not sure what will be agreed by tonight. I suspect it will probably run into negotiations over the weekend, maybe even to next week. But I would see that as a good sign.
How unusual was this conference compared to others? Because previously it had really been. It's run by the UN, of course, and it involves governments. But here we are now talking to someone who's the head of a corporate, and you've been invited along. How different was this? I know you haven't been to previous conferences, but I know that there were more corporates there this time than ever before.
Yes. Well, again, I think it comes back to recognising that governments can't do this on their own, and I think the industry is looking for signals from governments on policy in order to direct their investment. And I worked in financial markets for nearly 30 years before moving into forestry, so I clearly believe in the market creating solutions. And then when you see someone like Goldman Sachs coming out and saying that the cost of capital for developing oil and gas projects has more than doubled, while the cost of capital for renewables projects has halved, I think that's incredibly significant for capital allocation. So it seems to me that actually, corporates engaging with this is really, really key, and maybe that's a turning point. And I actually wonder whether markets could kill the fossil fuel industry before governments do.
That's an interesting comment. And of course, where the money goes, corporates will go. And obviously, corporates are run not as charities, but as profitable machines. What is the business of not necessarily making money out of this, but the business of taking part and contributing to this push towards zero emissions? How do corporates take part in that? What's your job as a business that wants to run at a profit in taking part and helping contribute our move towards the goals of COP26?
Well, I mean, first of all, the goals are really clear, I think, and it's clear that we need to see an orderly phasing out of firstly coal and then oil and gas, but it has to happen in an efficient, rapid, and fair way. One of the kind of I think surprising things and really encouraging things was this US-China pact on Wednesday night. So to have those 2 countries, the biggest emitters in the world, speaking together and cooperating together on this is, I think, very, very positive and a big signal. Whatever ultimately comes out in the text, I see that as an important move.
and corporates are obviously central to that. So far as Woodbois is concerned, I know you've got several strands of business. Let's put aside the forestry business itself at the moment and your the ways you move into that business in a renewable way. I want to talk more about this carbon sink business because that's going to be critical, I think, to contributing towards the goals of these UN conferences in order to try and hit these emission targets. What are you doing and how are you working with the Gabon government? You talk about carbon sinks. Explain more about how the business of Woodbois engages on that side of the move with these nations towards those emissions targets.
Well, firstly, for Woodbois, it's fantastic to see such a huge focus at the conference on nature-based solutions in general, and more specifically on the importance of preserving forests as important carbon sinks. And, you know, that's, I think what we're really seeing is governments and people and markets now placing an importance on nature and a price on nature. And for us, you know, we've got 470,000 hectares of natural forest that we operate sustainably. So it's important for that emphasis on stopping deforestation is fantastic for us.
So where do you go now from here? You've been to the conference. You now go back to the company. Does anything change for you, corporate-wise, or are you just doing more of the same?
Well, what we want to do is to develop more carbon sinks. You know, we want to do reforestation and afforestation at scale, and we expect the carbon market to reward us for doing exactly that. So, you know, we're watching very closely for the text that comes out on carbon markets and Article 6.
Good. So the message seems to be that the COP26 was a success and it was worthwhile you being there. One of the other headlines I know that you published recently has been from a company point of view is the sort of structural change of your board. How significant has this appointment of a new chief executive been?
Yeah, as you know, I was operating as chair and CEO, and one of the questions that we were repeatedly getting from investors is, you guys have got all these huge plans. How are you going to do it? Are you going to bring people in to help? So we've brought a real heavyweight in Federico Tonetti to come and help us. He's ex-Bain. He's been a CEO of Lafarge Holcim, so he understands logistics and production and industry. But most recently, he was head of sustainability at Compass Group, and I think Obama really gave everyone a lift when he came to the conference. And I think one of the things that he praised the delegates for was for putting up with late nights and bad food. And I felt a bit bad for Federico because previously he was head of sustainability at Compass Group, and Compass Group were providing the food at COP.
Good. Well, look, we look forward to talking to you again, and possibly also your new chief executive, Federico Tonetti, at some point in the not too distant future. But Paul, in the meantime, thanks indeed for joining us. On from the conference there in Glasgow, COP26, which comes to a close today. For more videos from us here at IGTV, join us on Twitter at IGCom, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.